Alright, so what I got here is I got a pile of shoes in my lap, and these are basically some of the most competitive, most compelling, most creative trail running shoes that can be used for hiking in the outdoor industry. This is the flagship shoe from Salomon. This is the Predict, okay? This is the Clayton from Hoka. Alright, this is an Ironman shoe from Hoka. It's really good. And this is the Lone Peak from Altra, all right? And this is the XA Pro 3D from Salomon. This is a blown out old XA Pro 3D. So right away I just want to point out that my favorite is the Clayton. All right, so what you get with this shoe is you get the EVA midsole and the tough rubber outsole are mixed together in a blender, so it's all one piece. This is really like the best hiking shoe, I think. It's an ultra lightweight shoe. It's got a hydrophobic upper that's water resistant, and it also creates the illusion of propulsion by having there's two things that a running shoe can have that gives the illusion of being propelled forward. It can have a soft EVA foam in the rear and a firm EVA foam in the front, in the toe. And it also can have an exaggerated rocker. The rocker with surfboards and boogie boards is a flat section. So the rocker basically means that there's like a flat section here in the toe, and the more that it's tilted up, the more exaggerated it is, the more you get the illusion of being propelled forward. All right, and so the way that the Clayton deals with that is by having this big hollow section in the back. So this hollow area in the back of the shoe, it doesn't just allow mud and dirt and grime to go in there. What it also does is it causes the heel of the shoe to flex a little bit more and feel softer than the toe. So even though the midsole and outsole are all one material that's mixed together, it still gives the illusion of the rear being softer than the front by having this hole here. So that hole causes, even though the foam is the same in the front and the back, that hole causes the heel to feel softer than the front, and that gives the illusion of being propelled forward. The one thing that I would say that's missing from this shoe is stability around the upper. With the Lone Peak 4.0, what they've done is they do a great job of tailoring. So this shoe is form fit, it's snug for a narrow foot just around the ankle here. So that when you're walking on uneven ground, bushwhacking and stuff, the shoe really doesn't pivot from side to side. But what you do get in the front is the shoe is kind of shaped like a spoon, where the toe box of the shoe is splayed, and it's kind of like a circle shape, and your foot is kind of like loose in there. But your foot doesn't move around because this section of the shoe, the back of the shoe, is form fit. My neighbor's dog is going off. So anyway, the back of the shoe is snug, and the front of the shoe is open. And so the shoe doesn't wiggle. You get a little bit of extra stability in the toe, where if you're about to roll your ankle by stepping on the edge of a rock or something, your toe will catch right here and your ankle won't roll. And the shoe also doesn't wiggle because it's nice and snug around the ankle, okay? Whereas with the Clayton, that's the one thing that the Clayton doesn't have. It's not really snug around the ankle. So when you're bushwhacking, walking on uneven ground, it does wiggle a little. But one of the reasons the bottom is so durable is because the lugs are flat. Now with Salomon, here's the Salomon XA Pro 3D, and this is probably the best shoe that Salomon makes. But I can tell you right away, just holding it in my hand, it is heavier than the other guys. This is not an ultra lightweight shoe. It's really not an ultra lightweight shoe company. It's just a trail running shoe company. And so on the bottom of the shoes, you've got soccer cleats, and as you can tell, they're flat, okay? So on the Speed Pro, the Sense, and the XA Pro, they all have soccer cleats, and the soccer cleats get rubbed off on all of them. Now, Salomon allow you to switch out your shoes. You can take photographs of the bottom of these shoes, just email those photographs to Salomon and they will send you your money back so that you can buy another pair. And that's how. Okay, now right away I can tell you that this is lighter than the X8 Pro 3D. Actually, it's a lot lighter. It's maybe half the weight. But really what Salomon makes is they make these shoes with these soccer cleats. They make the X8 Pro, the Speed Pro, and the Sense. They're all good, except for that the bottoms are going to come off on all of them. Now what you get with the Clayton and with the Predict, you get flat lugs that don't come off the bottom of the shoe. Okay. So even though this is really what Salomon does, they make these trail shoes, they make them in 3 different versions. This particular one they make with the gator on it. They also make it for rivers. They have this shoe, but it's a river shoe. And this is really what they do. They sell this trail shoe. And it is a pretty bomb-proof, really protective upper and bottom. It's got a firm, protective EVA midsole and outsole that protects your foot from the trail. It is extremely easy to hike in this shoe. And even though it really does weigh more than the other guys, it doesn't really matter that the shoe weighs so much because it's not actually in your pack. So all of the ultra lightweight gear that you have, it makes a difference that it's lightweight because you're going to be carrying it all together on your back in one spot. All of the other gear that you have, like your pants, for instance, or your shoes that are going to be somewhere else on your body, as long as you're carrying it somewhere else on your body, it doesn't really matter how much it weighs. Like, for instance, a lot of guys I know are carrying their camera equipment in a fanny pack. That's a good idea because you want the weight of that camera to be sitting on your hips rather than on your shoulders. So you have the rest of your gear on your shoulders and you have your heavy electronic gear on your hips. You know, Salomon is kind of the same way. This is sort of heavy, but you would put it on your feet, so it doesn't matter. Okay? But the issue is that you're going to have to return it because those lugs are going to come off. With the Predict, this is a much more lightweight shoe, and it's got flat lugs, so the lugs don't really come off. It also has an extremely exaggerated rocker. So the way that this shoe gives the illusion of being propelled forward is by having a front end toe end that's extremely exaggerated. Now, when you look at the shoe, you might say, well, it looks flat. Well, it's not flat because the EVA foam is cut into like pizza slices here, and this thing bends like that. It bends all the way up. So basically the rocker is as exaggerated as your foot can flex. So as you walk on this thing, it flexes like that, and that's how exaggerated your rocker is. It's like extremely exaggerated. So you basically get the illusion of being propelled forward. It's based on how flexible your foot is. As far as you can flex it, that's how far the shoe will bend. So the one issue with Salomon though is that I found is that there's 2 things actually. Is that this is kind of just like a normal shoe. It's just like an Adidas or a Nike. I went on a hike the other day in it, and some part of the hike was on the beach, and when I got home there was so much sand in this shoe that I hit them together for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes and sand just kept coming out. So even though the shoe is really cushiony and comfortable and form-fitting, it's kind of like got this jersey material, there's little crevices and places for sand and dirt to get in here, and it's like the sand and the dirt was coming out for way too long. I would just kept hitting the shoe like this, dumping it upside down, and sand just kept coming out. So it's kind of a Maximus shoe in that it's got so many bells and whistles. You know, there's some shoes that are minimalist, there's some shoes that are Maximus. This shoe is a Maximus shoe in that it's totally comfort. You've got comfort all around it, you know, all over the shoe is comfortable and flexy. But that also gives like tons of area for dirt to get in. The other thing is that Salomon is sizing their shoes a little bit big. This shoe is only about a ½ an inch too big, but you do feel it on the downhill because you've got this exaggerated rocker on the downhill and you've got this elevated drop in the heel. what that does is you notice your foot slipping forward. So like you've got all of this cuppage in the back that creates this crazy like bucket seat for your heel to fit into, but you feel your heel coming out of it because the shoe is sized a little bit too big. Salomon uses weird European sizes that just don't work. It's just not accurate. So like with the Salomon Magic Odyssey, which is like a tie-dye hiking shoe, the triple crowner, it's sized like 1 inch too big, and it's just way too big. This one is a half an inch too big, so you do feel your foot sliding forward on the downhill a little. And I do think that that's kind of a deal breaker for Salomon. As far as Salomon being like a go-to that I could really depend on as like a bomb-proof shoe that I could grab on the go, like say if I was on a major hike, like away from home and I needed to run to REI and grab a shoe off the shelf like suddenly, you know, Salomon, it's not really like my plan A. It's not my go-to because the sizing is a little bit weird. I think what they really sell is they sell these soccer cleat shoes. They sell the Speed Pro, the XA Pro, and the Sense, and the sizing on these shoes is a little bit better. The other kind of flagship models of the shoe that they make, they're a little bit more creative, and they get creative with the sizing, and the sizing is wrong. Which is a problem, I think. With Hoka, Hoka really only make this shoe, the Clayton. With Hoka, a lot of their shoes have an extremely soft EVA midsole, where you get this great sensation of the shoe being super, super soft and cushy and comfortable when you step on it. But that EVA foam gets compressed too much after about a month, and the shoes basically go flat. Now the Clayton has addressed that by using a different kind of EVA foam. This is a more protective, more durable, more supportive EVA foam that doesn't go flat as easy. It does get compressed slowly over time and it does wear down slowly over time, but the amount of use that you can get out of the shoe is much more than other shoes. So say for instance, if you use the Hoka Speed Goat or the Evo Mafate, you're only gonna get 1 or 2 months of use out of that shoe. With the Clayton, you'll probably get like 6 months or maybe even a year of use out of this shoe, and I just think it's awesome. It's an awesome value. It's available in the Clayton 1, Clayton 2, and the Kona Clayton. There's like 3 different Kona Claytons. One of them has like gray Hawaiian flowers on it. Another one has like blue waves kind of graffitied on it. Another one has pink waves for females kind of like graffitied on there. It's a pretty awesome shoe. It's really, really good. With the Ultra, you also are basically dealing with a really, really soft EVA foam that compresses and goes flat over time. But with Ultra, I really think that this is more of a flip-flop shoe than the other guys. I can tell you that this shoe, the Lone Peak, is slightly heavier than the Clayton. Okay, this is lighter. And as far as the lugs on the bottom, they're pretty awesome. They will go flat, just like on the Salomon. You can see the wear and tear here. But they're pretty good. This is a really good outsole. It's just that the EVA foam that they use is too soft, and on the 4.0 it goes flat super easy. So I think with the Lone Peak 3.0 and the 3.5, they give you a little more foam in the back, but honestly it's not going to matter, because just like with the Speed Goat and the Evo Mafate from Hoka, the Lone Peak and the Timp and the Olympus from Ultra, they use a soft EVA foam that goes flat over time. You only get a month or 2 of comfort out of these shoes. I know that this one, the 4.0, if you're only going to use it once a week, if you're only going to use it on Saturday, it's a good shoe because the loft will puff back up. If you just shelve this shoe for the week, and you only grab it on Saturday, the EVA foam lofts back up and you get that cushiony feeling again for a couple of hours, like once a week. But if you use it every day, the thing will go completely flat. And it starts to feel like a flip-flop that has barely any tread on the bottom. Like this is very, very thin on the bottom, and you can literally feel your foot like touching it. So there's really like nothing there. The other weird issue with Altra is that this hydrophobic upper isn't water resistant at all. So if you walk in wet grass in the morning, your socks will be soaking wet. So let's say you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you hit the trail by like 8:30 and there's still a lot of water on the grass and there's a lot of grass on the trail. Your socks will be soaking wet because the water goes straight through the shoe onto your socks. You know, so even though it's a hydrophobic quick drying shoe, it doesn't lock moisture out at all. So if there's any moisture on the trail at all, your feet are going to be soaking wet. And it also really doesn't have any cushion under it for more than like a couple days, you know. So yeah, I would say this is probably the last Altra I'm going to buy. I'm kind of frustrated with how Hoka only offer the Clayton. This is really the only Hoka that I'm interested in, is this Clayton. I love it. If they come out with another Kona Clayton with a different design on the top, I'm probably going to buy it right away because this is just really cool. It's just awesome to have this design on the top. So if they come out with another one, I'm probably just going to grab it before they get sold out. Even though I don't really need it, I probably am going to buy it just because it's so good. And then with Salomon, I'm surprised that Salomon really isn't a go-to anymore. This sizing issue is extremely weird. The shoes are too big, and also all the extra comfort that you get, it allows so many crevices and places for dirt to get into the shoe, not to mention moisture and what have you. It really is just like an Adidas or a Nike, but it's intended for the trail. I mean, this is just kind of like a Nike that they sell at REI. So, you know, you could go with Nike. If you're going to go Salomon, you could go with Nike or you could go with Adidas. The one issue with Salomon is that they do offer this great warranty program where if you're able to wear out the shoes, if you obviously have worn them out, they will send you your money back and you can reset. You can hit the reset button and start all over again with another pair of Salomons. What I'm worried about now is, will I ever wear out this Predict? You know, this Predict is in good condition. I have no idea if I'll ever actually be able to wear this shoe down to the extent that they're going to give me my money back again, because it's a pretty durable, beefed up shoe. It's also a little bit big. I don't know how I'm going to wear it out so that I can get my money back. So anyway, I would think for now, for at least a year, I'm stuck with this Predict, you know, which is okay. It's got the red on here. It kind of looks like the Golden Gate Bridge, or it kind of looks like the stormtroopers from Star Wars that were red. If you remember the red stormtroopers, it's kind of like Star Wars color. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so those are the three shoes that I think are really interesting. I got the Predict here. I got the Clayton, the Kona Clayton. This is a good one. And we got the Altra right here. All right.